I'm back with another case study, and this is because a lot of you are paralyzed with the amount of retirement information. You're wondering, am I going to miss something? I don't want to retire and go, I just forgot to look at that one thing, and now my retirement's very different. And I only know that because that's what you guys tell me. Look at my screen right here. So this is a comment from one of you in the community, which I'm going to explain for those of you who don't know. But this person says, yep, I'm in the academy. I went down the rabbit hole of reading and listening to everything I possibly could, learning as much as possible. I think I've become paralyzed with too much information and my brain has just shut down. I'm afraid of making a mistake that could potentially harm my family and our retirement future. Too much pressure, and I ate too much cauliflower. That's an inside joke. But here's my point. This is someone who commented in the community. Now, I do a lot of these different case studies. So this is one I posted 4 days ago. And this was someone who had 2.3 million bucks and they wanted to retire early. So I said, hey, if you guys want a case study, I can't get to every one of you tomorrow, but everyone, I'm going to be doing this for a very long time. So it is likely that I will get to you. It just might be a while. So I don't want you to think, hey, are you not going to get to mine? Will I be able to get to everyone? Probably not. That's unrealistic, but I will do my best. And so I try to pick different cases for those who have variety. So I said, hey, if you want to have a case study, drop a comment letting me know if you're in the academy. And the academy is where this person that we're going to go through today, where they list all their assets so I can actually do a full analysis. So this person's like, yep, I'm in it. And I said, hey, why do you want this case study? Like, are you about to retire? Are you struggling with spending? What's your issue? Is it peace of mind? Like, what's going on? And you can see lots of you guys are commenting in here. Yep, I want a case study. And so I won't be able to get to every single one, but you can go inside this community. This is free. And you can let me know. You can say, hey, there's different fun stuff going on in here. You can meet different advisors. This is where I said, hey, do you want a case study? Let me know. A lot of you guys are like, hey, what should I expect if I'm going to meet with a financial company? Whatever it is. This is a free community. You can see there's a little over 1,000 people in here, which is a big deal, so that you guys can go communicate with people like you. It's one thing to hear from me going, hey, guys, you should really retire early. And trust me, you're in a good spot. Well, it's just going to hit different if someone who's like, hey, I was worried about retiring because I didn't have 2 million and I actually retired and I'm more than fine. And you're just worrying because like you're a human being. And so here's what to do. So you have me here as your guide from the financial videos, education, let's call it the nerd sense, if you will. And then you have real people who are in a similar spot to you going, here's what I wish I did. Here's what I did. That's great. You get the point. So I picked someone at random here who I feel is a good case because they say here, once again, I've become paralyzed, too much information. My brain has shut down. I almost say, look, you're a human being. Like, of course your brain isn't designed for this. Like, imagine I had to go do surgery tomorrow. Like, I could do it. That's like going to retire. You could do it, but like, you don't really know how to do it. Like, you could screw up. That's number one, why people work with an advisor. But I'm also the weird advisor that says everyone doesn't need to. It depends. So the point here is I'm going to stay small here down in the corner. I'm going to go through this example. Now you can see I changed the last name, but that's all I did here. So these are real people, change the last name, just want to make sure for security purposes. So the point here, this is the couple we're working with. I have not had a conversation with this couple. I know nothing outside of what you know here. Here's someone that says he's afraid of making a mistake, and I don't blame him. So here's the point. We're going to go through this. I don't know anything. I have not gone through and taken a deep dive. You're getting it in the same way I'm getting it. So the first thing I see here, I'm going to start on this net worth page. And for those of you who don't know, you can go through if you want to follow along, but put your own numbers in. That's what this software is designed for. Now, it's a few $100 for a reason. You don't get one-on-one guidance, but you can go just like this person, put all your data, run what-if scenarios, see what you're on track for. There's videos and lessons to help. So that's if you want to do it at the same time. This is this person's checking accounts. So you can see went and linked in all of their accounts. So you can go link in all of your accounts right now, whether it be Wells Fargo or Bank of America or Fidelity. This is just their bank account. So first thing I see is they have $20,000 or so. Okay, now is that like allowing them to be flexible? For some people, it's like, hey, I don't need more than $10,000 because it's just, I have a good system. I pay the mortgage out of this account and this, and I defer investments to this. My gut is it's pretty low. Like generally 30 to 40,000 just kind of on hand. Now, not on hand doing nothing, but I like companies like Betterment, high yield savings. Now, don't have money here for, too long. I see people do that as well, where they're like, I'm going to keep money in high yield. And then they do that for 5 years. Like, don't do that because it could have been up a lot more. The point here is, look, 4.5%. I like to say there's two accounts you should have. You should have, and I'll make myself bigger for this, an emergency fund. That's like, hey, if something happens while I'm driving, I need cash to be able to pay for whatever. Then there's a sleep number. And the sleep number is like, I'm not going to touch this, but I sleep better having it. And that's not a financial calculation. For example, for me, I always have $10,000 in my checking account because that's allowing me for cash flow to pay bills and do what I need to do. Then I have another about $20,000 in a high yield savings account. I just sleep better with it. Could I invest it for more growth? Of course I could. I'm aware of that. I don't want to. I sleep better, and if something comes up, whether it be a vacation that I want to take, whether it be I've bought a semi-professional soccer team. Now, I probably should have done some more analysis, but I wanted to do it. I hung out with my brother, and we have a great time. Here's my point. My point is I don't have to go sell investments if they're down. So if there's money that you're like, hey, in the next 1 to 3 years, I might just need this for something potentially, and you're going to sleep better having it, that's where I'd recommend that. So that is just looking at this. Now, someone has some credit cards, doesn't bother me. Here's the big thing. So the first thing I'm looking at, because I'm seeing this the first time, is they have a superhero account. So this is called a brokerage account. So now I want to know, how old is this person? Okay, 61, one child who's 21, wife's 57. Okay, so technically they can access their 401k if they want to. Now, are they retired? I imagine no. Okay. So I would think they're retired if they filled this out correctly. Michael's 61 today. Wife is 57. Michael's 61, but he's telling the software, I'm not working because he retired at 60. Now, he might have something incorrectly, or he wants his plan to know that he's stopping working right now, just to be extra conservative. People do it differently. So we're going to get back to that in a second, I promise. But this is telling me, okay, here's someone who has a small brokerage account. Let's see how it's invested right off the bat. Okay, first thought is I don't even like this. The reason I don't like this is he has a lot of individual positions. This brokerage account, this is the best account this person has. This is where you can pay capital gains instead of ordinary income when you withdraw the money. So it's the best account we've got. I want this to be way safer. I don't want it in individual stocks. I'd want this to be way safer, not 99% equities. And the reason for that is you can see his cost base is $11,000 and it's worth $30,000. I don't want this to have huge gains because the risk is it doesn't have huge gains. And now you want to retire, live off of this money. And that 11,000 has brought it down to 8,000 because it didn't do well. Stocks are great to grow our money. That's why people love investing. And by the way, I'm one of those people. But you can see in any given year, you have a 73% chance, if you just using the S&P 500, that you're going to be up that year. So what if you retire and you get unlucky? Well, you have a 27% chance that you will have lost money. So I'm not saying this person screwed up in a big way. They actually did really well. But the risk here is that if they retire in a year or 2 years and it doesn't do well, we need that money. That's important money. So I'd rather this be actually more conservative, and I'd rather these be more aggressive. And my example here is this person has a 2030 fund. These are target date funds. I do not like target date funds. Why? They have no idea how much you want to spend in retirement. They have no idea about your legacy goals. They do not know that you retired early and might need income for 40 years. This is a really good, look, you just can't screw up. And if you're starting a job and you don't know what a stock is, go get a retirement fund that says you're going to retire in 2065 because it's going to be all growth and it's going to diversify you well. So there's a place for this, but it's not now, because the issue with these types of investments is they get too conservative too quickly. Now, you can see here's someone that has a 2030 fund. 66% of this is in assets growing and 34% are fixed income. I probably want more of this growing because we're not going to touch some of this money for a very long time. Let's go to this account here. So this is the 401k. Now this is better. You can see about 90% of it's in equities. That's though a little high for me. And so I can see here, this is someone that has a target date fund inside of here. So he has 2 target date funds. He's holding some cash. Don't recommend that. You can see there's a wide range of things going on here. You can see he has a few different specific funds. This is someone I like. That's Vanguard's an option because Vanguard's low cost. My concern here is here's someone that I'm not seeing a strategy. I don't get the sense that these are talking to each other. Now, maybe I could be wrong, but the way that I get to look at that is I go to the investment tab here, and I have this asset allocation tab, and I can see here, so 40% of this person's portfolio, the software is categorizing as other. So that's not really helpful. And that's because some of the funds he owns are known as other. So what I can see is, for example, the individual account, all equities. That's kind of backwards. I'd want this to be more conservative. The 2030 fund, we can see here, 66% equities. We get a good diversified mix here. We can go to his 401k. Well, this is where we got a lot of the other because he has some of those kind of positions that aren't exactly categorized perfectly. The good thing that you're seeing is there's diversification. So here's someone that all in, that they're probably not 85-15, meaning 85% equities, 15% fixed income. And the reason for that is 40% of this is other. This seems like it's mainly equities. So it's not far off, but it's not perfect. I would want to go deeper. And so what we're going to talk about in a little bit is, so here's someone whose their home's worth $200,000. Is this where they want to live the rest of their retirement? Do they want to downsize? That's not worth a ton. So like, are they comfortable living is my first thought. Now, maybe they are. And then different loans. So parent plus loan, that's regarding education stuff. They have a HELOC, okay, overdraft, so have a line of credit, a car loan, another car loan. So no mortgage on the home unless they didn't input it. But so there's reason to have anxiety. I don't tell people, hey, you can just go retire. You're in a good spot. You're going to be fine. Like, I do not do that. I will joke that I'm the meanest advisor. I promise I'm not mean. Just very transparent. I do not want you to retire and be mad at me when you no longer have enough money to live. And I don't want you to be mad at me when you're 80 with 10 million bucks because you're like, that was not my goal. So going back to the goals here, this person, you can see they did their homework. So as of now, it looks like he's retired and she's going to stop working at 63 because once again, she's currently 57. Now, is she bringing in any income? Yes, she brings in $150,000 a year and he's retired. He's no longer working. We can see they have some Social Security estimates in here. They have a small pension. This 401k distribution, you can get rid of this. A lot of you will do this. You don't need to do it. The software will automatically calculate the most efficient way to withdraw. So just get rid of that for your life. Make it easier. In terms of goals, this person wants to spend $7,000 a month or $84,000 a year. College goals. So when you add a child to the software, it's going to automatically default to a college goal. How old is their child? 21. Okay. So likely finishing college. Maybe this is grad school. I don't know. They want to plan for their child's wedding. Love that. They want to give a gift to their child to start. Awesome. They want to leave $250,000 behind. Vacation goals, $10,000 a year. A car goal. You can see here, that's a one-time car purchase of $50 a year. So they've thought through it. Now, are they saving anything today? Nope. Michael's retired. Wife is maxing out the 401k, and they're still doing some 529 stuff. So Michael can get rid of all of these because he's retired. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. Here's someone who says, I think I've been paralyzed with too much information. My brain shut down. I'm afraid of making a mistake. Well, imagine the stress this person's feeling. Like, he's already retired. And so you don't want to go back to work. So Michael, I'm here to say your concerns are valid, but let's look at your plan. So the first thing I'm going to see here is I want all of the goals turned on. So this is something, Michael, you couldn't have done. So don't beat yourself up. My team needs to do it. It is a requirement. And if you're in the software and you don't go to the videos first, meaning the academy that I built out, you would have not known to do this. So now this is cool because this gives us a lot more options and things to shift around. Now, what's in our control? Well, I'll show you what's in our control. But right off the bat, this person's in a good spot. Like, they've got $2 million and you can see they're on track for $3 million at the end. But it's taking a big assumption, which is that they keep this 85%, 15% allocation throughout retirement. What if they're like, we want more of a balanced approach? I didn't shift anything. No spending, no tax strategy, nothing. Well, now there's 1.3 million fewer dollars, but there's still 1.7 at the end. So Michael, you should hear this, go, wow, that's pretty good. That balanced approach that I just mentioned to you, what I'm assuming here, and stick with me here because this is important, this balanced approach here, this is just so you can see the math. This is saying if you had a 50-50 portfolio, which on average does 6.8% plus inflation, in the software is already calculated. That's 3%. What that's saying, and this is important for you to know, that if you get a 3.8% after inflation return, we call that a real return. If you were to get 3.8, let's keep it simple and say 4% return throughout retirement, Michael, you're going to be fine, and you're going to be able to do all of these goals and more. Like, you're in a good spot. So, like, kudos to you. Like, you are going to have natural, hey, what if this happens? What if this? But, like, look, what if you got 3%? Which I don't even like doing this, Michael, because this gets so unrealistic at some point here. But, like, look, you're going to be fine. So if you're worrying, am I going to not be able to eat? Like, that's not the case. But let's go keep it on balanced for now. Let's just be super conservative. The reality is, I just showed you. Look, the S&P 500, that's done 10% per year. So I'm projecting 4, 5%. The reality is you could do better, and that's going to change things as well. What if, you decide, I'm comfortable with risk, I have a good plan, I'm 90% equities. Okay, well, it's going to go the other way, and it's going to be like, you're in a really good spot. Generally, for my clients, I leave it on moderate. That's, to me, I think, a very reasonable return if you're doing well. So I'm going to leave it on moderate, which is a little less aggressive than what you're showing here. Michael, you're retired. You're planning for healthcare. We could do a separate episode on that. And then the wife's still working. So my question is, like, what if the wife wants to stop working? She's 57 today, I believe. Is she going to stop working in 6 years? Maybe she's like, I want more Michael time today. Well, what if she stops working at 60? How does that change the plan? So 3 fewer years. Okay, well, that changes things in a big way. And Michael, what if you're like $7,000 a month? That doesn't cut it. We need $8,000 a month because you just like kind of projected something off. Okay, well, yeah, that changes things, but there's still $1 million left over. So Michael, I would encourage you, if you're like listening to this right now, Michael, and you're like, all right, I actually was dreaming. Like when I put in here $7,000 a month, like that was actually more than I even thought I needed. So that's correct. And my wife loves what she's going to do. And she's going to work till 63, even if I tried to stop her. And by the way, like I was dreaming, like if I could give my kid $50,000 for a down payment and vacations like if you were really dreaming in here, Michael, like you're in a good spot and you are worrying unnecessarily. If you did not dream and you're like, the reality is I'd love to spend $9,000 a month. I just didn't put that in there. Well, that's important because that means there will be much fewer dollars. And like, we need to consider that as part of the plan. But gut check is you're in a good spot. So that's what I wanted to show you today is being paralyzed with too much information, worried he ate too much cauliflower. That's a tax strategy joke. Is you're afraid of making a mistake. Well, there is a realistic mistake here, and I'm going to show it to you because I do see this, by the way, as well. And this is one of my concerns. So I'm going to show you, this is the last chart I'm going to show. There's obviously a million things I want to go over. But when you're working with an advisor, and this is good for all of you to know, let me pull this up here. Like this one gut check, this is not going to make Michael go, oh my gosh, I'm 100%, I'm in a good spot forever. Like the process we go through is every step of the way. We start with, okay, what's your purpose? Okay, how much income can you create? Okay, what about your investments? What about taxes, estate planning? Today, I would argue I didn't really do any of this. I just kind of went loosely over, hey, kind of gut check, are you in a good spot? But the gut check is like, okay, yeah, you're in a good spot, but like if you're just going to spend $7,000 a month every month for the rest of your life, I'd say you're not in a good spot because there will be times where markets don't do well and I need you to be willing to spend less. So here's my point. This is a graph. It explains it really well, which is if you had all of your money in the United States, the S&P 500, the last 10 from 2010 to 2020, and yes, I'm picking a specific date for a reason, you'd be in a really good spot. Look, you're the yellow, okay? You're the second best performer. But if you just got unlucky and you retired in 2000, the U.S. was the fourth worst performer over this 10-year period. So if Michael had all of his money in the S&P 500, which he doesn't because the target date fund does a good job of diversifying, well, then Michael would be in a tough spot and he would spend too much too quickly and he would probably run out of money in his 80s. That is the reality. Because if you spend too much while markets are going down, while healthcare exists, while travel expenses and helping out kids, well, what happens is you spend too quickly while markets are going down. You're depleting your portfolio. And so that's a big risk. So the biggest thing, Michael, if I'm you, is considering to think about more is what is your withdrawal strategy? How are you going to be willing to shift spending? If markets are doing well, you should be like, I'm going to go spend more on travel. 10,000, you should spend more. What if markets aren't doing well? You should be willing to spend less. Are you willing to be dynamic? What's the tax strategy today? Is the plan to do Roth conversions? What years are you going to do those? Okay, what's the most optimal way to look at your tax return? Not just this year, but future years. Because right now it's pretty simple. I go to your 2025 return. Your wife is still working. I can see that. I can look at your tax return. What about we fast forward? Look, this is zero right here. You have no more income, but you still need to live because you have an IRA. So I need to make sure everything in here is dialed in so that there's no head trash here. So your Roth IRA, last thing, I can't help myself, okay? Your Roth IRA is your best account ever. You don't want a target date fund. You have 34% in fixed income or bonds, whether you know it or not, in this fund. This is your best account for growth. You want this growing like crazy, and you want this more conservative. So I would want to have 12,000 hours talking to Michael to give him confidence, and that happens over time. I'd want Michael to understand, how do you run a what-if scenario? How do you run scenarios to stress test your plan so that Michael can go, okay, let's assume my wife decides that she wants to stop working. Like, can she even do that? Michael, I'm sure right now, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing you're like, I don't know. Like, Michael, what if Social Security gets reduced? How would that change your plan? What if your returns don't do what you think? What if you live till you're 110? How does that change the plan? This is what good planning looks like, and understanding the importance of Social Security. Look, when you collect, it's a big deal. I mean, it could be 86,000 fewer dollars. It could be 100,000 fewer dollars. Understanding the optimal strategy and exactly like where it comes from and how to do this. Looking at cash flows throughout retirement. This is something like, do you want a full-time job doing this? Or are you like, no, I want to hire an advisor to do this. So yeah, I'm an advisor. That's why I do this. But some people are like, no, this is what I want to do. Obviously, a lot more I can go into, but this is the case study for Michael, just to kind of get a gut sense of like, yeah, there's things that I would do differently if I'm Michael, but like you're loosely on the right track. So I also don't want you like worrying unnecessarily. If you like this video and you want a case study on you in a similar way, or you want me to go into a specific topic, go into the community. You can leave a comment here on YouTube. I encourage you to go in the community, find this one. So what is this one called that I did? Full case study. So go in here, search full case study, hit enter. It'll come up right here. One of you. You need to let me know, are you in the academy? Because you have to be for me to do this. And then tell me, why do you want this done? And go in here and comment, and I will be picking people every single week going through this in detail. So that's why I love doing this. Was this helpful? Good to see. Every case study is different. Someone with 2 million might be in a great spot, and I have people that have 2 million that are not in a great spot because they want to spend 30,000 a month. Okay, that's good to know. There's no right or wrong, but it depends. Like, what do you want to have happen? For some of you, you're like, look, I don't know what I would do with 30,000 a month. Others of you are like, I'd rather work 5 more years so I could really spend what I want the rest of my life. Hopefully this was helpful. Please like this video and share it with people you want to retire early with if it was. And Michael, if you're watching this video, which I hope you do, let me know in the comment, was this helpful? Were you like, it kind of validates that there's still a more I don't know, but it was still putting me in the right direction. I don't expect you to be like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to worry ever again. That's unrealistic. But I would expect you to go, okay, I feel like I am on the right track. I have the right options. I understand I'm in control of my retirement, because you are. So all of this to say, it can sound harsh, but Michael, you're in a good spot. You have done the work to get to what you have. I didn't do anything. Some advisors are like, I helped you retire. I'm like, no, I didn't. I didn't do anything. I just told you my thoughts on this. You did the hard work. I just showed you the numbers and how to think about it in a way that allows you to go, I have clarity here. So the final example, and this is what I'm going to leave you guys with. There's a true story. Many of you know this. You've already heard it. So if you have, apologies. But this is true. I went to the doctor. This was months ago. I said, Doc, what you just said there, it sounded great. I think you believe it sounded great. Don't know what you just said. So try again. And I'm a very transparent guy. So the doctor goes, okay, I'm going to explain to you in greater detail. I said, great. That's why I'm here. He says, well, here's why the lab that we're making the pills in that we're going to give you is such a great location. I was like, Doc, I'm sorry. I don't care about the lab that makes the pills that you're giving me. I need to know why I need to take this pill or why I don't need to take this pill. So I'm not going to just trust you blindly and take the pill. And I'm also not asking for too much detail. So what I don't want to do with you, Michael, and I hope you recognize this, I don't want to go in the lab with you. I'm not trying to show you, here's every asset allocation mix and to the point where you're overwhelmed. That's what happens. I'm trying to explain, Michael, here's why you need this pill, so to speak. And here's the reasoning for this. What do you think about that? And you might be like, you might be like, Ari, I dreamed big in that software and now I feel better. So, oh my gosh, I think that's just what I needed, more of a gut check. You might be like, this answered a lot of questions, but it brought up even more questions. So now I'm like worried about like, what if I do live longer? Or what if I do want to downsize? Or should I pay off those car loans? And what about the timing of all of these things? And you're right, I don't have Social Security yet. So that changes the plan because that's more pressure on my portfolio. Those would be very normal thoughts. So I want you to know like, hey, you have the pieces to make it happen, but you need to go deeper if you want true confidence as I see it. This is like an MRI. It's like, hey, here's the diagnosis. That doesn't tell you your physical therapy schedule. That you need to check in with the doctor. Are you staying on track? So this is why people work with us here at Root for that holistic approach. We do it all. So for those of you who do not know or unaware, that's really the difference. Like, why does someone work with us versus Vanguard versus Fidelity versus Empower versus anyone? Most people have a traditional advisor. So that's someone that's helping you rebalance, telling you what stock to buy. There's value in all of those. And by the way, I like Vanguard. I like Fidelity. I'm not beating on anyone. I'm just saying most people are working with us because they want a deeper sense. And we do way more. So if you want to learn about that, that is in the community as well. When you join, I believe, if my team set it up correctly, if not, I'm going to fire someone. No, I'm just messing around here. But if you click Root Collective, it'll say at the beginning, why did you join Root? And I will ask people to be very transparent. How'd you first find us? Were we your first advisor? Did you come from another firm? Which advisor do you work with? Ultimately, why did you really join us? And you can see all the clients sharing, hey, what's the real difference with Root versus anyone else? So hopefully this was helpful. Big case study here. See you guys next time.